afternoon, Quilt Roadies. What are you up to? I've been burning the candle at both ends lately, and I decided I better sit down and have a chat with all of my friends because time is just speeding by, G and I just came back from Costco, and he went off to look at something and came back and said, "Who was that you were talking to?" I said, "It was just some guy telling me some stories." I meet the most interesting people no matter where I go, even in Costco. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Life is a bowl of cherries, I always say. A chair of bowlies. Mary Engelbright. Does that date me a little bit? I loved all of her stuff. Well, it has been a busy time. Yesterday I had some much needed girlfriend time. You can put your nose to the grindstone and you can just be focused on your own tasks and stuff, and then you suddenly realize that the world is turning without you and you want somebody to play with. And so I called up some friends and said, "Hey, I need some girlfriend time." And so it was fun. I had 4 girlfriends over. Was it 4? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I can't count. That's why I have problems with my quilting. But I have gotten a whole lot of plans going in the quilting part of my world, and let me tell you, it is nothing but exciting. I often think that okay, this is going to sound maybe somewhat preachy or condescending, I don't know which, but I often find that sometimes as we age, we set up these barriers for ourselves. And I had a girlfriend visit from Arizona. She and her husband were traveling through town, and they were making their way back to Arizona for the winter, making the slow crawl back and visiting people along the way. And she said that in comparison with her and her siblings, that she thinks the reason that they're doing so well is that there's always an adventure. There's always something new, and it's a lifestyle that brings just interesting people and things in your life. And so I took to heart what she said, and I bought more fabric. No, I know but I thought, I need to not say, "Oh, this is so hard. This is so much work. Oh, I'm getting older." I've decided to totally revamp the conversations that all the squirrels in my head have about my life. Every time I forget something downstairs or upstairs in my house, because I have many stairs, I no longer complain about that because it's getting steps. It's me getting my exercise in my own home. So I'm going to look at different things in my day-to-day life as not something to just complain about, or I wish I hadn't forgotten, but look at it as a gift in a different way. And that includes my quilting. So this brings me to the next couple of quilts that I am going to make. Because I hear many quilters. I belong to, a handful of quilt groups, and I hear many people in those groups saying, "I don't need to buy any more fabric. I don't need to make another quilt. Who am I going to give a quilt to?" Well, I wrote down in a notepad years ago, I think it was years ago, but I am getting older, that, if my quilts end up at Goodwill, well, someday someone's going to walk in there and say, wow, this is awesome. I'm buying this and taking it home. Yeah. I no longer, I enjoy my quilts, but I no longer feel that need to worry about my quilts, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't worry about my quilts anymore. There's too much in the world to worry about. So, one of my neighbors is walking down the street talking on a phone. Yeah, I'm up here in my perch. I'm up here in my perch. So with that said, I am all on board for the Fat Quarter Shop's breast cancer fundraiser quilt. And the reason I love this quilt is, in my mind, I am now working on, well, I digress a little bit. Let me give you a little backstory. I'm the oldest cousin. My mother was the oldest in her family. So I'm the oldest cousin. And, you know, in other countries, people had large families because my grandmother lost 3 children, you know, so she had many children because you just didn't know. And so that's it. I'm the oldest cousin, which means that my cousins, some of my cousins, not you, Mike, if you're watching, but some of my cousins are still having babies. And so I have moved on. I've made many baby quilts, many toddler quilts. If you've been around on this channel for a while, you've seen those. But now I've kind of moved into the dorm quilts, quilts going off to college. And so I remember showing you this quilt that, I'm just going to grab it right here because it's folded right here. Oh, I'm going to make a mess. I can tell I'm going to make a mess. Okay. But I called up my second cousin. So you see, I have a lot of second cousins. I called up my second cousin to find out, or I texted her because, you know, they don't really talk on the phone, they text. I asked her when she was leaving for college because I started freaking out. I thought, oh my gosh, it's August. I mean, I remember leaving for college in August. And so I texted her, I said, when are you heading off to college? Because she's going out of state. And she said September, and I went, oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Because I had not, you know, my quilt binding wall is full, and I had not started the binding. And so you remember this, I just love this backing fabric. You know, it looks like torn up blue jeans on the back of this quilt. But I'm not going to unfold it all. But this was made from a fabric pack from the Fat Quarter Shop, and it was a pattern out of the Jolly Bar. It was a Jolly Bar, which is quite clever if you've never heard of this. They sell Jolly Bars, which are half of a layer cake. Yeah, so 5 by 10. So you get a pack of a whole fabric line. And the Jolly Bar books, which are fantastic, fun quilts to make that don't take a year to make, was these blue hearts. I don't know if you can see. So, oh, that's just not looking very good. But, oh, well, that's as good as it's going to get. So it was all this blue fabric and hearts. And this fabulous backing fabric that I found at Joann's. I had no clue that Joann's carried 108-inch backing fabric. And this looks like ripped up blue jeans. So I went to this is what I do, just so. Okay, this is a channel about cross stitch. So if this is your first time, don't worry. Don't be frightened. It's challenging for me to do a video. And so sometimes I'm all over the place. But what I was saying was, when I make binding, I tend to make more binding than normal. In fact, I know one of my girlfriends, Lori, she made enough binding for like 10 quilts. She just kept cutting up fabric and making the same binding. So I keep all those binding strips. If there's leftovers, I roll them up and put them in a spool cabinet I have, because I can use them in a future quilt. And so I went to the binding cabinet and I found 2 chunks of blue binding that were the right color of blue that I wanted. And so I started splicing them together. And so I didn't have to like cut out a whole new binding set. It was already ready to go. And so I've started tacking down this binding because she's leaving for college next month. Yeah. But then I started thinking about it. Not everybody goes to college, especially now, because it's expensive. It's like if you can't get a sports scholarship or some kind of scholastic scholarship, and you know, it's expensive. I mean, I went to community college first, but that was more because my dad didn't trust me. He didn't want me running amok. He said, you can either go to the same college your sister's at, or you can go to community college, live at home for 2 years, and go wherever you wanted. And so I chose the latter. Yeah. And I'm sure my sister would not have wanted to be my second mom at college. It would have driven her crazy. But I kind of got off on a tangent. Some kids don't go to college. And my second cousin that is heading off to college, her older sister chose not to go to college at this time. And I thought, well, that's a bummer. I never made her a quilt, because in my mind, I'm only making like dorm quilts. So I said, I need to shift this, and I need to make Happy Graduation from High School. Happy Graduation from High School and the Next Step to Life quilts. And so I decided that for her, I am going to make the Woven Heart quilt pattern from the Fat Quarter Shop. And I bought I got like down the rabbit hole with this thing, because it's a breast cancer foundation fundraiser, research foundation, and Kimberly, who is Fat Quarter Shop, is going to be doing a stitch along starting in October. Yeah, perfect timing for me. You know, September's looking almost as busy as August. Okay, maybe things will slow down a little bit in October, and I'm going to be ready. So I got the whole shebang. And this is the quilt. Is it not gorgeous? I just love this. But the reason I show it to you also is that it's also challenging for me, because it is a technique that I have never done. And I'm all about making myself, encouraging myself to step outside my box. And so got all the beautiful fabrics. Aren't they gorgeous? And I know that she loved the Barbie movie and all the pink, so I know this color is really good. And it is done with foundation paper. So I have the foundation paper, which scares the bejeebies out of me. So I'm definitely going to be doing, I'm going to be following every video that they do on Fat Quarter Shop. And It has the add a quarter plus ruler. And then this thing I had never seen before, but Kate, who is my person at the Fat Quarter Shop, wrote, "This water pen is magic." A water pen? I never heard of this. But it says, fill with water and use to remove paper from foundation paper piecing and triangle paper with ease. And it's reusable. Yeah. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this to start, and it'll be in October. So if any of you are interested, please get on board, raise some money for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation, and have a good time. And if you've never done it before, it's a learning experience. Yes. Okay, on to the next thing I discovered. And for those of you that are doing the cream and sugar block of the month, you can do it in whatever fabrics. You know, it's done in all these kind of monochromatic neutrals and beiges, but I am using my Civil War 1800s fabrics. And so I was checking out the next block. So we have done, the last block we did, I'm just looking here. What I realized is that we are starting to move in the book towards the setting stuff. There's going to be some setting for other blocks, which is really cool. So I can't wait to do the next block. If you don't remember, this was the last block I did. So keeping up on that one nicely, which does reinforce my self-esteem. The best thing that has happened to me this week is that I get to use a straw. I don't know if you heard, but I had dental surgery and I had stitches. I had them taken out this morning. But up until I got the stitches out, I couldn't use a straw. And I use a straw to drink water. So, excuse me a moment while I indulge. Yeah, so that's really been an interesting journey. Let me just say, I'm not a dental fan, but I do love my dentist and the hygienist that works with her. And, well, tomorrow, I was glad to get the stitches out today because tomorrow I'm leaving on a girlfriend trip with two of my friends, Cheryl, who, if you are not familiar with floss tube, it is a whole genre of YouTube channels that have to do mainly with cross stitch. But Cheryl's and her sister, their floss tube channel is Stitching with the Sisterlies. But they do quilting also. And so now Cheryl's going to be venturing out into creating a business model for herself, which she will be teaching classes at her little workshop she's setting up. She's recreating a space in her barn, having quilting, stitching type days. I can't wait, and I'm so excited for her. I'm just so excited. Oh, there goes two jets, National Guard jets. I just love sitting here. I can watch the, Scouters Mountain and Mount Hood, and with all the fires, it's we haven't had a whole bunch of smoke here, but it has been smoky. But today is overcast and it's cool, not real hot. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, Stitching with the Sisterlies. So Cheryl's new venture she had a bag printed up, is Rust Ribbon Quilts and More. And look at that logo. Her daughter, her granddaughter did it. Isn't that great? So I'm very, very excited for her. It is always fun when you see people going on a new journey. You know, so go ahead and check that channel out, because it does have quilting, and you can join the Facebook group, Stitching with the Sisterlies, and there's a lot of quilting on there. But tomorrow we're heading up, Audrey, who has a floss tube called Stitchy Witch 42, and then Cheryl, we're going up to visit her sister, who is the other half of Stitching with the Sisterlies, and she is like a quilting machine. She put a long arm in her dining room. I can't wait to see the whole thing. But we're heading up there tomorrow, and so I will hopefully be bringing you some video of some new quilt shops that I've not seen before, and I can't tell you how exciting that is. I always have a good time at a quilt shop. I always have a good time at a quilt shop. The other exciting thing that happened is, though many of you, even though I looked all over the place, many of you pointed out to me where I could find the fabric for this quilt. I need this quilt to be in my ocean room, which is next door. It's my grandson's sleepover room. It's a guest room when girlfriends come, but I have all the memories of living and growing up on the beach and sailing. And I mean, this pattern by Edita Sitar is, I don't even know how I missed this pattern. But I did get the kit because it took a specific line of fabric. And so I ordered it off of Edita's site, her website. And yeah, it's like all of a sudden I am like, I can't get enough quilting. I need to do it all. Okay, what next? I have been here we're going on a whole nother turn. I have been grieving a bit, not a lot, because I know it's a good thing, but my bestie is moving. Of course, I moved away from her 4 years ago, but she's like, I keep saying, she's like, oh, look at, they came all the way around those jets. Oh, he left one behind, though. Wonder what happened to him. Anyway, maybe I should tell people, besides getting a drink and going to the bathroom, but maybe taking a Valium before they watch me. Yeah. So it's like when you leave for college, you go away from home and you're so happy to be gone, but it's because you know that mom and dad are back at home and the family home is there. So I moved away, but I felt good because she still lived in the hometown. And whenever I went there, I stayed at her house and I went there regularly, and I talked to her, you know, several times a week at 5 in the morning because we're early birds. But the town grew, and it grew to where she was not having a good time. And it's a lovely town, but it has grown, just like so many places. So she decided to move. And I have just been grieving that loss of history and kind of like a home base. I mean, I asked her, I said, did you tell the realtor about the graveyard in the backyard? All of our pets were buried in her backyard. Yeah. So I'm excited for her though, because we move all the time, and G is not moving again. I'm not getting him out of here. So we've just hunkered down now and just are creating a life that is perfect. We are perfectly content. And I'm happy that she is moving to a space where she can find that contentedness. So I have to make her a housewarming, a new housewarming. I mean, she hasn't moved in over 30 years. And so I was trying to pick the perfect thing that would be fun to make. And her name is Robin. And so I found this kit on Primitive Gatherings. Isn't that really cute? And the wool is like, oh my gosh, the wool is, that blue wool especially is just like amazing. I mean, look at that blue wool. Oh, it's so pretty. So I'm going to be prepping that. And if I get my ducks in a row, which means if G's around, I will have him set up a camera, set up the camera for me so I can just show you the process. Although the reality of it is I've already done, if you Google Quilt Roadie's wool tutorial, I have already done it, and I don't do it any different. Oh my gosh. Okay, oh, well, I'm glad she put this addendum on it, because look at the flowers. I'm like, oh my God, but it says place as many flowers as you want. Okay, I want these 5. Oh. And they're not stitched down, they're tacked on with a colonial knot or a French knot. Oh, that's so pretty. So darn pretty. So there we go. So there we go. I am going to be doing that in the near future. Because actually, I will probably be seeing her in October. Yeah, so I'll have to get that prepped. The last thing that I wanted to share with you was I went to the movies to see the Despicable Me movie, the latest chapter of that movie, with my oldest grandson. Well, not my oldest. My oldest grandson's like 22. But I'm thinking about the kids still, although I could tell that he's almost to that point where, yeah, it's not so fun hanging out with Grammy. More fun with his friends, you know. He's starting middle school. And, well, I think actually middle school will be next year. But he and his mother and I went to the movies. And where I park, I have to walk through Barnes & Noble to, after I leave the theater, walk through Barnes & Noble. And one doesn't just walk through Barnes & Noble. One peruses Barnes & Noble as you walk through. And naturally, I found the absolute most adorable book. And I had to buy it. I mean, I had to buy it. I know I don't want to, and it's so funny because it's illustrated by my oldest grandson's, it's the same, he has the same first name as my oldest grandson. So, look at this. It's hard to be a ghost when you're a quilt. The little ghost who was a quilt. I mean, it's a gift to yourself if you wanted to get it for your quilting library, or it's a great gift to give with another quilt that you're gifting. I mean, it's so. There was a little ghost who was a quilt. I just love this. I mean, I love it so much that when I went to check out, the person that was checking me out was talking about this book too, and her grandma's quilts, and I was like, yes, I'm a quilter. I had to have this book. Yeah. So I'm going to take advantage of these last few days of the last half of August, and then get moving on September. Yeah. Who knew? Who knew that time would fly this fast? Yeah. Well, you guys take care. You know I love you. Don't talk yourself out of living. That's my #1 tip for today. Take care. Bye.